Hi and welcome to the Corporate Life Podcast. My name is Hina Siddiqui and I loved and hated my corporate jobs for years. This podcast is going to empower you to go high on your career without losing yourself. I invite you to join me each week as you will hear real cool stories of the real cool corporate people doing real things in the corporate world. And the experiences and advice can change your story too. Hey, how have you been? I'm your host, Hina Siddiqui, and you are listening to the Corporate Life Podcast. I'm really excited for today's episode. My guest today is gorgeous and impactful. I can't just wait to welcome Cristina Flores on the show. Cristina is a certified executive coach. She coaches on leadership, interview, and life. She has a Bachelor of Psychology, MBA, is Agile certified, and is currently working on a Master of Art in Teaching and a Master of Organizational Management with a focus in leadership. As a coach, Cristina practices with great honesty and empathy. She provides guidance and strength when self-doubt and a distracting mindset start creeping in. And that's really interesting. She exudes great passion and insight on leadership and the interview processes. She can immediately recognize the proficiency, expertise, and skill set she brings to the table in any project. She brings a very rare ability to tap into the story of an individual and immediately understand the nuances of the situation, story, problem, or industry. Cristina has a keen ability to earn trust with job seekers and C-suite executives. She's authentic, vulnerable, and has an obvious, genuine interest in helping people. She's quickly able to assess problems, determine solutions, and her curiosity drives continuous learning to always provide relevant expert value to her clients. So that's huge. She's doing a great job. Let's find out with Cristina how she's able to manage all that. Hey, Cristina, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited, and I'm so excited to talk about a little bit of my passions when it comes to coaching. One of the biggest things that I have found is that what really draws me into coaching is I love seeing people have their aha moment, whether it's in interviewing, whether it's in leadership, and just being able to have that and see their excitement and their enthusiasm and see their mind just turning when they get those little connections and their sparks of inspiration is just amazing to me. And I say this because I had my last client just call me today and she's like, oh my gosh, I'm jumping up and down. I got the job. They called me. I'm so excited.
Fabulous.
And when we started the process 3 weeks ago, she was like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm not getting these second callbacks. What am I doing? And just being teachable and just being open to help, we were able to get those connections made and transformations. And in the end, she had 3 job offers to choose between. And she was like, I got my dream one. I got it. And she was like, I may have cried a little bit. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is the moment. This is why I do what I do.
Yeah, this is really amazing. Like when we see people succeed, it's our clients succeed. It's such a wonderful feeling that we can't even express in words.
Exactly. And she called me and she's like, I want you to be the first to know. I'm like, make a cake, say congratulations to me because you put in the hard work. Not me. You put in the work. You did the progress. You gave the examples. You were the one there. You put it in. So just have that to remind yourself. Take a picture of it, leave it on your mirror, just to remind yourself how awesome you are.
Just wonderful. And Cristina, we are eager to know your story. Tell us a bit about yourself and what inspired you to become an executive coach.
I think I've been doing leadership coaching and interview coaching all my life. I just never had a name for it. Mm-hmm. So I could never really pinpoint what I wanted. And that's why it took me so long to get through school, because I kept going back and forth between business and teaching, and I didn't know why. I was like, I love them both, but I can't commit to one. And so I went to my school counselor and I told her, I was like, I've been in this too long. I need to do something. I need to figure out something. What can I do? And she was like, you only have about a semester and a half left, and you can have a bachelor's in psychology. And I was like, oh, that's it. That's what I never knew I always wanted to do. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I guess that kind of puts business and teaching together. But I was like, I really want to expand on this because I love helping people and I love seeing them succeed, because if they can succeed, I know I can succeed.
Yeah.
And it just motivates me, it drives me. And it's just something I have always done.
Beautiful.
And so having those degrees and being able to provide that value, being able to provide that outside perspective, that's what really drew me to it.
Yeah, I see. And that's wonderful. I can see like you have done a lot of things in psychology, and psychology is such a nice field. It has always fascinated me to get into the mindsets of the people and know what exactly is it that holds them back, in going ahead with their lives and careers. And when they can just get this piece right, everything falls in great place, isn't it?
It really does. It's just once they have that quick aha moment, they're like, now I've got it. It all makes sense. I know what I have to do next. But you can be the brightest person and just be too close to the problem. And that's what hinders us from having that aha moment. And even me as a coach, I have a mentor. I have a coach, because I know there's going to be times where I'm going to be too close to the problem and I may not be able to see it. And that's why I think coaches are so valuable and mentors are so valuable. And even downward mentors are so valuable, because a lot of people think, oh, it's so important to have a mentor that has experience. But just because someone is in a level above you or has more experience doesn't mean they have weaknesses that you have a strength to.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And I think I found a really big passion for that as well. And I hope my coaching clients realize that too, because of my kids. Like from my 2-year-old, I learned that there's beauty in the chaos. I learned that patience should be practiced in small doses. I learned that things start fresh and new, and you always have another chance. Tomorrow's another day, right? And that just because you're not where you expect to be or where someone thinks you should be doesn't mean you can't start in that spot.
Yes.
It's all about getting that confidence. And my 2-year-old, she's got it. She's like, I can do this no matter what. And I'm like, oh, that's right. We need confidence. Okay, I can have confidence too. And so that downward mentorship, I always say, is just as important as that upward mentorship, because there's so much you can learn from someone else. Because if I can have that much value from a 2-year-old, think about somebody else that's 25. How much experience and perspective they have. And what value they bring to the table. And I think most people forget that. And so they don't have that confidence developed. And then they're like, oh, I don't have the best equipment, so I can't really start a podcast. Oh, I've only been doing this for 2 years, and the people that are doing it have been doing it for 5 years. Great. They've been doing it for 5 years, but you are someone that has lived for 25 years. You are someone that has a message, that has a perspective. And 9 times out of 10, if you've got that perspective, someone else is thinking it too. So why are you not putting yourself out there? Why are you not putting your brand out there? Why are you not putting that message that could potentially be helping someone else? You're holding back not only yourself, but someone else who can benefit from it.
Yeah, and I've seen people starting from a very negative point where they think that, oh, this is not possible, or maybe why should I put an effort into something that I am not certain about, like whether it will work or not work. But this is what I believe in, that mentoring is a very important thing for everybody's life. And knowingly and unknowingly, we all have some mentors, but then we need to see if we are with the right kind of mentor and a person who can guide us through in our careers, and especially because this is a career show, so I would be sticking to that part. And this is extremely important for people to take help from the coaches, because they have done a lot of studies, and it's so much easy way to get into the cut short everything else, and uh, get the shortcut results. Because when you are learning from a mentor or a coach, he or she is giving you so much insights that they have learned from in their lives and people after long study and experience.
Well, and I think too that people are afraid to put themselves out there and to
Yes.
reach out for help because there's such a negative stigma behind being weak, needing help, being inadequate. And that's why I do a lot. If you check on my LinkedIn page and my LinkedIn posts, almost every post that you will see is something saying, do a mantra, be positive, you can reach your goal. It's because our minds are trained to go to the negative.
Yeah.
And already with a stigma out there, when we go to the negative, it's hard for us to get out of the negative. And then you throw on top of that limiting language like, I can't, I'm supposed to, and then put all of the expectations society has on top of it.
Yes.
And you are almost crippled and overwhelmed thinking, I'm 36, which women shouldn't say, but I'm 36 and proud of it. I've made it this long. And so I have a certain expectation of where I thought I would be. I'm not there yet. If I use limiting language, I could be completely crushed just by not fulfilling certain expectations and feeling like I'm just this kind of person or I'm just supposed to do this. And with that, once you've said one of those once, it takes 8 times to not believe it. And
Yeah.
so you have to fight so hard to get back into the positive that it is so important to take everything as a learning experience.
Yes.
And this is what I coach people. There is no thing as just, supposed to, should, failure, failing, inadequate. There's a starting point that everybody has. Whether you're at the top or at the bottom, everybody starts somewhere. The most impressive person, the most experienced person started at the bottom.
Yeah.
They created those learning experiences. They weren't afraid to put themselves out there. They weren't afraid to let others say yes to helping them, to creating those experiences, to learning those lessons, to taking on those skills, to having that guidance. And that's what got them there. And nobody sees the struggle. We see the overnight success.
Yes.
But that overnight success came with practice. It came with failure. It came with asking for help. It came with struggling. It came with not understanding certain things. It came with lessons learned the hard way. I mean, take a look at Michael Jordan. He missed over 9,000 shots in his career, and he was inducted into the Hall of Fame for basketball.
Fabulous. Yes.
9,000 shots, and you are afraid of putting yourself out there once and
Yes.
failing once.
Yes.
You are not giving yourself that permission
Yeah.
to experience a learning experience. And I can guarantee you, if you think of it as a learning experience, you will not be overwhelmed, because what comes with the learning experience? You understand there's going to be a learning curve. You understand that you're not going to start at the top. You understand that inevitably you're going to stumble, that nobody's perfect. Nobody has mastered something 2 seconds after doing it. You understand that there's practice in it. So there's no fear there. There's no stigma there. There's no fear of failing or wasting your time because you know it's going to take time because it is a learning experience.
Yes.
And this is why I coach my clients, whether it's through interview, through leadership, through life. You have to start where you're at. Take baby steps. You know what? If my goal is to not feel self-conscious, because this year I was like, oh man, I got sick. I've been off LinkedIn for a year. I had so much momentum when I started because I had my LinkedIn profile for a year and I started with like 140 followers maybe. And I started putting myself out there. I started connecting with people. I started networking and I got up to over 18,000 followers in a year.
Wow.
And
Wow.
then all of a sudden I get sick and I'm off the platform for a whole year. I go through the depression with the loss of my mom and the loss of my uncle and just COVID and the pandemic. And it brings such a mental cloud for everybody on top of grieving. And so I gained weight. I didn't go on LinkedIn for a year. I turned down so many opportunities. And so when I came back, because I've been back like 3 weeks, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I want to be on camera. And that is when you need to do a year yes. And I am extremely passionate about telling my life clients, my leadership clients, my interview clients, no matter who I speak to, the most important time to do a year of yes is when you feel unworthy enough, when you feel incapable, when you feel like you're questioning if you can start, because that is going to build up that confidence for you.
Yeah.
And remembering doing the year of yes is giving yourself permission to do things that scare you. It's giving yourself permission to let others say yes, which is extremely difficult because you're putting your faith in someone, but the results are amazing. I've been back almost 3 weeks and I've done a YouTube interview. I've done a live on LinkedIn. I'm doing this interview. I've done an article on an editor-in-chief of Claims magazine. I've got an article coming out later on a principal of a Montessori school that was a TEDx speaker and an author. And I have several other projects in the works, a collaboration training with another coach, a training on resilience. And that's 3 weeks.
Mm,
And
yeah.
I was sitting there before I started saying, I don't feel confident. I don't know if I'm going to do this. I'm afraid I'm going to fail. I'm afraid there's going to be nothing.
Yeah.
And that's why I say it's so important to let others say yes and give yourself that chance to say yes. Because think of all those opportunities I could have missed. And it's only been 3 weeks.
Yeah, and the essence is that just get started right away. Don't look for the perfect time to come and when all the lights would turn green and then you would, start your journey. It has just start wherever you are. And I really like that. Take a short break here and we'll keep this conversation going with Christina after a quick break. See you in a sec. If you're not getting the right and enough job interviews in your job hunt, there are good chances that you have a boring resume. And you know what? We can write an interesting resume that gets you lots of right interviews. To know more details, head on to my website www.authorhina.com and check out the resume tab. Welcome back. So we are in conversation with Christina. And Christina, what mistakes do you see people making when it comes to their career? And what tips would you like to give them to get that right?
I think the biggest mistake people make in their career is one mindset, which we talked about. We have to be able to give ourselves permission to take on new things and to let others say yes to things. And I think that people are extremely undervaluing networking. And I know it's something I did for so long. I had a LinkedIn account for almost 13 years and didn't use it until 2 years ago. Now imagine all of the time lost and opportunities lost because I didn't use it. I didn't realize the value of it. And LinkedIn is amazing because it is allowing you the opportunity to potentially connect with people that you would never in real life have an opportunity to connect with. I don't live in India. I would never see you on a day-to-day basis, but you saw my content, you reached out, and we were able to connect. I have interviewed CEOs of companies that I would have never had access to in the job that I do unless I did some real research, connected with people, and got an inside scoop on that. You're getting access to these valuable people in times where they are not distracted. They're checking their messages before work. They're watching content. And I think one of the biggest things people forget is that if you don't put yourself out there, how is someone else going to know your value?
Yes.
How is someone else going to know your skill? How is someone else going to know your passion? You never know who is watching on there. And so I started creating my content, and then I reached out to a CEO I know, and I had never with them personally. I had never actually seen them in person. And I sent them an email and I said, hey, I am doing a leadership article series. The intent is to get the conversation on leadership started and just make leadership more relatable. I would love to interview you. This is how much time I need. Thank you so much in advance for consideration. 4 hours later, they emailed me and said, let's go. I've never spoken to this person, but they had seen my content and they knew what it was about. And they had never interacted on my content. They had never messaged me before. I had never spoken to them in person, but because they had seen my content and they knew what I was about, they knew what to expect from me. And so it made it easier for them to say yes. Another thing that people forget is that there is a professional way to network and there's a not so professional way to network.
Yes.
And I know so many of us have seen it on LinkedIn. So what I would suggest is make sure that you know these specifics of how to network on a specific platform. So for instance, on LinkedIn, if you are messaging someone and saying hi, they're not going to know how to respond to that. They want to help you. They're ready to help you. They don't know how to respond to that. And you have to assume these are CEOs, these are coaches, these are entrepreneurs. Their time is very limited.
Yes.
And as much as they want to help you, if all you're saying is hi, they're going to pass that up because they don't know how to help you. And they don't know if it's going to be something that will lead to a distraction, something that will lead to an appropriate conversation. So they're going to skip that altogether. And now you've wasted that potential connection, that potential conversation, that potential opportunity. If you are messaging people and it's not using professional language, it's something that they may not answer. There have been several people, like when I interviewed one high up level person, they even specifically posted, there is a professional way to message me. If it doesn't look that way, I don't answer it. So when I intended to interview this person, I did my research. I did my homework to make sure they were going to be the right fit for my content. I did my homework to make sure that they were somebody that could potentially say yes, that could potentially have the time. And I did my homework to see what their message was and how they would like to be communicated to.
Yeah.
And it's so important because if you don't start off on that right foot, then you're just going to get no's every time. There's a certain language, there's a certain psychology and a certain technique to networking. And I get asked all the time, how do you have all these opportunities? And what I tell people is you have to do that specific technique that we mentioned. You have to bring value You have to be able to present yourself and present what your message is so they know you have knowledge. You're bringing value before you're asking for a favor.
Absolutely.
One of the biggest compliments one of the CEOs I interviewed said, because I asked him, what made you want to say yes? Because he was one of the first ones I interviewed. He said, I saw your content. You engaged on my page. The information you engaged on was knowledgeable and valuable. It went with what I was saying. It wasn't just, oh, great, thanks for sharing. It was bringing out my perspective, bringing out the knowledge I knew, showing my expertise. And he said, the way you asked was perfect. It wasn't about you. It wasn't about wanting to get something. It was about bringing value to others. And that's part of what that leadership series is. But that's how you have to approach every potential opportunity. And you have to understand that if someone can't do it right now, or if someone can't respond in a moment, again, people's time is limited.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
just because they don't respond now doesn't mean they're not going to respond later.
Yeah.
So if you're a jerk about it, or you ignore them, or you start blocking, again, you've wasted that opportunity.
Yeah.
And what I tell job seekers is don't blindly email people or message people saying, can you hire me for a job? Can you suggest, rank my recommendations or anything like that? Because these are your potential future employers. These are people that are potentially connected to your future employers. These are potentially supply chain personnel that you're going to be dealing with, or vendors you'll be dealing with later. You want to always put that best foot forward. So if you need a job, look at the job openings. LinkedIn is great about letting you search what jobs are available, what skills are needed. Then if you see people in your connections that work there, reach out to them. Say, hey, I'm really interested in this position. I would love to learn more. Can I ask you a couple questions? Once you've got that conversation going, then say, you know what, I really love what this company is doing. Would you be willing to recommend? But I have gotten requests for hiring, and I'm like, I'm a coach.
Yeah, I can so much relate with that. It's same with me. Like every now and then, I see in my LinkedIn inbox that can you hire me, or can you just get me a job? I'm actually struggling with this and that. And this is always this is so much beautifully said by you, that it's very important to rightly network with people and rightly approach people, ask help. For there's a way to ask help, right? It's just not that, like, you can't be just straight that, okay, I want this, that way. So this is amazing advice. I love that.
In every relationship, there's a give and take. Yes. And that's the psychology behind it. And if all you're doing is taking or spamming, then for me, it frustrates me, because I'm the type of person that even if I can't help you, I still want to recommend someone that can. And if you say to me, hey, I want to get a job, can you hire me? I'm like, no, I can't hire. And then I'm like, but you didn't say what field you wanted to go into. You didn't say where you wanted to go. And I'm like, I have thousands of recruiters in my network. I would love to connect you with one of them, but I can't go through 18,000 connections
yes.
at the time. And then it frustrates me, because I'm like, I want to help you. And that's the coach in me. And so I'm like, don't waste your opportunity. Don't waste your time, because if you're spending that time putting yourself out there, you want to make sure you're doing it to the right person, and you're having that right conversation so they can help you. Because so we're here waiting. We're excited to help, because when we see others succeeding, that just motivates us to do better and do more. And that's why, like, you're a coach, I'm a coach, we're still collaborating.
So Christina shared valuable advice with us when it comes to people making mistakes with, their job search and the right networking and all that stuff. So, Christina, what is the best way for people to find you and know more about you?
I would say definitely on LinkedIn. I am there 24/7, even when I should be sleeping.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because I love taking a look at people's profiles, trying to figure out my next move, trying to see who I can help next. So, really, you're welcome to message me anytime. I'm usually pretty good at getting back to people as long as you tell me how I can help you.
That's wonderful.
So,
So you can find the information about Christina on her LinkedIn profile, and on this page, on this episode page, you will find the link to connect with her on LinkedIn. So it was lovely chatting with you, Christina. You have given such valuable insights that all people are going to benefit from a lot.
thank you so much. And thank you for giving me the time to talk about things I'm so passionate about.
Yeah, I enjoyed talking to you, and I'm 100% sure that our listeners learned a lot from you today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being on the show. So I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Cristina Flores. So that's it for this week. I'll see you next week with another interesting episode. Stay happy and safe. Thank you for tuning in. I invite you to subscribe to this podcast and go to my website authorhina.com for career-changing tools and resources. And don't forget to check out my latest book, Secrets of the Six-Figure Employee with Zero Stress. It's available on Amazon.